Here we are today, guys, at Denny's Sports Bar in Treetown there. How long you been here, Danny?
Well, we've had a bar for a little over 4 years, about 4.5 years. We've been in this bar for about 2 years.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Sure. I was a sports writer, American. I grew up in Los Angeles. I lived in Detroit. I lived in North Carolina. I lived in New York for 11 years before we moved here full time. I covered all the American sports, some other sports too, but my main sport was baseball. I wrote 2 books on baseball. I covered the Detroit Tigers for 18 years. I was a national baseball writer for both CBSSports.com and then for Bleacher Report. Wrote for various other publications along the way. Did a little bit of television, a lot of radio interviews, a little bit of radio play-by-play, not much, but a little bit. And so that I was involved in sports, which was why when we were going to open a bar, we decided for a sports theme.
So how do you not become an alcoholic owning a bar, mate?
That's a great question. It was one of the things that I was concerned about. I had questions. We'd never done anything like this before when we opened in 2019. And I asked a lot of people how to do it, and I took some of their ideas and some of my own. What I do, when I start the day, I'm usually people see me carrying a bottle of water around. I limit how much I drink on most nights. I pretty much turn down all shots now. And you're gonna drink more than the average person, but as long as you keep it somewhat within control and put your limits on, you can do it.
So what's the best piece of advice you think you've ever had?
As far as with the bar or just in general?
In general.
Okay, when you work in sports journalism, you always hear about the cliches. And one thing you learn is some of the cliches are really true. And one of the ones that I learned and really try to live by is don't worry about things you can't control. That if there's something you can do about it, do it by all means. But for example, we're doing this interview the night before we do it. FA Cup final would have been a big night for us, but it was a Buddha day, couldn't open. I don't spend time worrying about it. I can't control it. I can't change the law, and I can't worry about that it costs us what would have been a nice day. That's the way it goes. It's
take the good with the bad.
You take the good with the bad. There's other times things will work in our favor. That happened to work against us, but so what? You can't control it. So why waste time and effort and energy thinking about things like that?
Sure. Just hurt yourself.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what do you think happened to MH370?
Oh, I have no idea. Something that I'm certainly well aware. I've read things about it, but I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it because it's not something that directly impacts my life.
If you could sit with one person for 1 hour, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, wow. I'd have a real hard time coming up with one single person I'd want to talk to. There's so many fascinating people. You think of people that changed the world over all of history. You think of sports figures. I was fortunate enough to spend just a tiny bit of time around Muhammad Ali. Fascinating guy, fascinating life. The time I saw him, I wasn't in a position to interview him. He had Parkinson's disease already, but he walked into the clubhouse with the Detroit Tigers after a game, and to see star major league players just in awe. You think, wow, this guy. You think of the life he had, how well known he was around the world, all he was involved with, given the Vietnam War, race relations, everything else. I'm not saying he would be the one person, but he's one that comes to mind right away.
If you could uninvent one thing, what would that be?
Boy. I don't know that there's I mean, there's days I say social media, but social media has really helped us. So I'm not going to say that. But there's days I say, boy, social media is really a mess. But I keep it in overall on balance.
What's your favourite simple pleasure?
Favorite simple pleasure, lying in bed reading, lying on the beach reading. I don't do very often, but just I think one thing that technology has made easier is I have Kindle on my phone and my iPad. If I'm walking along the beach, which I don't do as often now as I used to, as I like to, and I feel like sitting down, I can sit down and start reading my book right there, and that's a nice simple pleasure.
What's one thing that nobody in this bar knows about you?
I don't know. I'm a fairly open person, so my wife's over there. We've been married 16 years. She knows an awful lot about me. So, so if you talk about nobody here, that would be difficult. I mean, there's, things I did as a kid. I'll give you one. I was an Eagle Scout as a kid. Probably nobody in this bar knows that.
When was the last time you cried and why was it, Mike?
I don't. I get tears come fairly reasonably easily, but I don't really cry a lot. I'm fortunate both my parents are still living. I'm fortunate I've been married one time in 16 years and we're still married. Certainly cried by myself when some relationships broke up earlier in my life. But I don't cry over simple events. I don't get worked up. I follow a few sports teams, but I don't get that worked up when they win or lose as I used to. I don't know that I ever cried over any of them anyway, but I don't even get as worked up about them. So I'm a somewhat emotional person, but not. But I don't. I'm also fairly balanced.
If you're invisible for one day, what do you reckon you'd do?
If I was invisible, nobody could see me. I don't think I would live my life that much differently. Because I was a writer and I was somewhat in the public eye, I'm kind of used to being in the public eye, and I pretty much do things I want. I don't want to. I don't worry about going places. And somebody sees me, they see me. I don't think I don't think there's anything I would do different, really.
What makes you smile?
I smile pretty easily. I smile at being able to just have a fun conversation with somebody. A smile at having when we have a party and people. I look around and people are having a good time. When you are able to get somebody's game on television and they're really excited about watching it, that makes me smile. I smile at my family. We have grandchildren. We have a 3.5-year-old granddaughter. Her running around the kitchen and me chasing her. Smile about that.
All right, last question.
Sure.
If you could know the truth about one thing, what do you think it'd be?
Again, there's probably a lot of things, but, for any American, one of the things that my age, one of the things that always comes to mind is the Kennedy assassination. What in the world was there any more than we did? There's probably at least some more that we'll never know. Yeah. But was there something else there that we don't know? I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I also don't take everything just at face value. And I think from everything I've read, Oswald probably did it, but were there other things involved? Did someone else, were there any contacts with him from other countries or other groups that wanted to do it? It's so far in the past now, and all the documents that the government has have been declassified, so I don't think we're ever going to know any more than we know now. But if you could go back in history and you could be invisible and you could be places, maybe you would have known.
All right, thanks very much, mate. Lovely to meet you. Thanks for your
talking to you.
time. Come down and check out Denny's Sports Bar. Lovely guy, yeah.
Into Panthers territory. Francis Molo looking to play a good looking like a bench. Dummy half saying, what are you doing? Yes, I'm just left hand side. But Jane